And we are back. Welcome back to the Europa League prediction series. It is time for Matchday 6 in the Europa League as we reach the middle point of our 3 European prediction videos for the week. If you missed yesterday's video covering all of tonight and tomorrow night's Champions League action, you can check that out with the video link at the top of your screen right now. And of course, tomorrow morning at this time, we'll be covering all 18 matches in the Europa Conference League for you as well. So before we get into today's video, as always, if you hadn't done so already, please do consider dropping a like on this video. If you do enjoy all of my predictions series, share it with a friend if you want to get them involved in all of the predictions down in the comment section. And of course, subscribe to the channel if you're new around here with notifications turned on so you don't miss out on any of the predictions we've got coming up for you over the course of the next few weeks. From there, let's move ahead to the prediction screen then, where you'll see we're on 48 out of 90 so far in the Europa League, with only 7 correct scores. This has statistically been my worst tournament of the 3 so far, and I imagine it's been the case for you guys as well, because these Europa League videos have been by far the most viewed videos of all 3 competitions we've done so far this year. And to put into perspective how badly we're doing in the Europa League, we are 6 results behind the Champions League at Matchday 6. And in the Conference League, we're already on 42 results with an entire matchday in hand still to come. So really puts in perspective how difficult this Europa League has been. But hopefully that means we get more engagement from you guys down in the comment section. As always, we always say on this channel, this channel is to provide the information so you guys can make your own predictions, and my predictions are just for fun. So without any further ado, let's get into the first of those predictions this week, starting off with tomorrow's one and only Europa League match, and that is between 15th place Fenerbahce and one of the 3 sides currently occupying the top spots in the Europa League right now. That is Bilbao, one of 3 sides on 13 points so far. Bilbao currently sit in second, and to be fair to them, they have won every single game in this competition since drawing on match day 1, and are also unbeaten in all of their last 11 matches in all competitions, which includes winning their last 5, including beating Real Madrid in La Liga just a couple of weekends ago. Fenerbahce, to be fair to them, have also won all 4 of their last 5, including Matchday 5's victory over Slavia Prague. But that run came to an end at the weekend when they lost to a fellow Europa League side, Besiktas, in the Super League back in Turkey. So it's going to be an interesting one, this. As a Manchester United fan, the team news is really sad because 2 former Manchester United players are going to be unavailable for this. Fred is suspended for Fenerbahce and Herrera is injured for Bilbao. And other than that, basically both sides are fully fit and raring to go. So based on what I've seen from these 2 clubs over the last couple of weeks, I'm going to slightly edge it in favour in the side from Spain. I'm going to go for a narrow 2-1 victory, but don't best believe, certainly at home, Fenerbahce have the chance of getting a result. From there, we move on to Thursday then, and as always, the remainder of this page will cover all the early kickoffs on Thursday, and then the second page will cover all of the later kickoffs. And the first of those early kickoffs sees Hoffenheim taking on FCSB. 25th place currently are Hoffenheim in this Europa League, and FCSB, incredibly, still sit 10th in the Europa League so far. It's been a brilliant competition for them so far. And coming into this, there really is only one side on form out of the 2, and it is the Romanians, who are unbeaten in their last 5 matches, which includes drawing to the reigning Europa Conference League champions Olympiacos on match day 5. Hoffenheim, on the other hand, have lost all of their last 3 matches in all competitions, and 3 of their last 4 matches in all competitions, which includes a 3-0 defeat to Braga on match day 5. And to be fair to them, they still have a whole host of injuries coming into this, with the likes of Bebu, the likes of Grealish, and the likes of Qarabag, as well as a whole host of others. Those are sort of like the big names from the first team that are missing, but they do have multiple other injuries across the pitch as well. That said, FCSB are going to be without their top scorer, Berligia. Apologies if I've said that wrong. He is going to be suspended for this one. So I just think they're going to struggle to find the goals away at Hoffenheim, who, to be fair to them, despite their poor run of form, are unbeaten at home in this competition so far. For me, I have to expect the German side to get the result here, even with their injury problems. I think, again, though, it's going to be a tight one. I'm going to go for a 1-0 victory to Hoffenheim. Again, I just think without their top scorer, FCSB are going to find it really hard to find themselves a goal. Speaking of sides who are struggling to score goals, we then move to Ludogorets taking on AZ Alkmaar. Ludogorets currently sit 33rd in this Europa League so far, but arguably produced the best result of this Europa League so far, drawing 0-0 away to Lazio, who were the only side that had won all of the first 4 matches in Matchday 5. Meanwhile, AZ Alkmaar were drawing at home to Galatasaray. Since then, both sides have won every single game domestically in this competition, and that includes AZ Alkmaar beating Ajax, another fellow Europa League side, at the weekend. For them, they're going to be missing Keith Smith. He is going to be unavailable for this one. He is, I believe, suspended for this. And for Ludogorets, as we already mentioned, they are very, very low scoring. They've only scored 1 goal so far in the opening 5 matches. So really, that is going to be the question. Can they get themselves a goal? AZ Alkmaar so far in this Europa League haven't scored a single point away from home in their 2 matches. So realistically, I can only see this being one of 3 scorelines. It's either going to be another 0-0, it's either going to be a 1-0 win to AZ Alkmaar, but the result I'm going to go for is a 1-1 draw. I do just fancy Ludogorets to get something from this match. I think they are capable of scoring. I'd be surprised if AZ don't score, and I think that's why I've gone for the 1-1 draw. But we'll see. Again, I reckon 0-0, 1-0 AZ, but I'm going for 1-1. That then takes us to Malmo, who are taking on Galatasaray. These sides, the side that drew with AZ Alkmaar, of course, Galatasaray in the last round. They are travelling to Sweden to face 30th place Malmo, who lost 4-1 to Ferencvaros just 2 weeks ago in this competition. In terms of injuries and suspensions going into this, there really only is one that people should be concerned about, and that is that Dries Mertens is very likely to miss this game from a Galatasaray perspective. Other than that, both teams are looking fully fit and raring to go for this one, which does mean Starman Victor Osimhen will be available for Galatasaray, and I just think if he's on the pitch, he will prove the difference between these 2 sides. Malmo potentially could produce something, but they've not kicked a ball since their match day 5 match. So I'm going for a 3-1 victory to Galatasaray. I don't think too many people are going to be too surprised at that one. That then takes us to 14th place, Olympiacos. They're going to be taking on 29th place, FC Twente. Olympiacos are unbeaten in all of their last 9 matches, whereas FC Twente come into this competition utterly winless in the Europa League so far, losing at home to Union Saint-Gilloise on match day 5, and compounding that by losing 6-1 to PSV Eindhoven in the Eredivisie at the weekend. They're also going to be missing their goalkeeper Unistal for this one. So with all the things going on with them at the moment, with such a good run that Olympiacos are in, no fresh injury or suspensions concerns for the Greek side as well. They're at home. I would thoroughly expect them to win this one. I'm going for a 2-0 victory to Olympiacos. Keeping things in Greece, we now have PAOK taking on Ferencvaros. And again, this is a really, really tough one to call. PAOK currently sit 27th in the Europa League and finally got their first victory of the competition so far with a victory over RFS on match day 5. Whereas their opponents, Ferencvaros, are 11th and have won all of their last 3 matches in this competition. The last 3, they've won on match days 3, 4 and 5, which of course includes that match day 5 victory over Malmo, which we just spoke about. Since then, though, PAOK have been absolutely on fire. In their last 2 matches, they have won 7-1 and 4-1. Meanwhile, Ferencvaros were losing 5-4 to a relegation-threatened side back in their domestic league. So again, it's going to be a tough one to call. When it comes down to injuries and suspensions, they have Varga suspended, whereas PAOK are starting to get the majority of their first team players back. You'll remember in previous videos, PAOK have had a lot of injury issues so far in this competition, but they're starting to get themselves back to where they are expected to be. For me, I expect a lot of goals in this. As we just mentioned, look what's happened in the last few weeks. 4-1, 7-1, 5-4 in matches involving these sides. I expect there to be a lot of goals in this one. Do I think there's a clear favourite? Not really, but I'm going to go for a 3-2 victory to PAOK and just keep things in favour of the home side. But with how chaotic this match could be, it genuinely could be any scoreline. That then takes us to two sides that are currently only separated by 1 point in this Europa League. It is 21st place Roma taking on 18th place Braga. Roma, of course, were able to pull off a 2-2 draw away at Spurs and then finally ended their winless run at the weekend with a 4-1 victory over Lecce back in Serie A. Braga, on the other hand, have unbeaten in their last 4 matches, which includes beating Hoffenheim 3-0 on Matchday 5. Again, in terms of injuries and suspensions, there aren't too many to be worried about in terms of this one. The only potential major absentee would be Dovbyk for Roma. He has had a pretty serious illness and is unlikely to make the match in this one. But I think with the way that Roma have started to develop, and given the fact that these two sides met back in 2021 and Roma won both home and away in this competition, I'm going to back them to do so again. Don't get me wrong, Braga are a strong side. They definitely have potential to get a result here, but I'm backing the Italians. I'm going for a 2-1 victory to Roma. Penultimate early kickoff then sees Union Saint-Gilloise taking on Nice. 24th currently for Union, whereas Nice sits second from bottom in 35th. And look, it has to be said, out of all of the teams that we're going to cover over the course of this week, I'm covering 108 teams across these 3 videos this week. There is no side that has an injury crisis on the level that Nice have. We are talking more than half of their regular first team players are out and unavailable for this match. And it is something that's been carried on throughout the entirety of the season so far. They lost 4-1 at home to Rangers on Matchday 5, which is just testament to be fair, how good Rangers have been so far, but also how wrecked Nice's team has been. For Union, their victory against Twente has seen them progress up the table and is going to give them the opportunity to build on that momentum going into their game against a side that is, quite frankly, just so depleted that, unfortunately, I just don't see Nice getting a result from this fixture. If they can get some players back and available for this, who knows, then maybe. But away from home with the injury crisis, I just have to go for the Belgian side here. I'm going for a 3-1 victory to Union Saint-Gilloise. And then finally, in terms of the early kickoffs, we have Victoria Plzen taking on my club, Manchester United. And look, as a hardcore Manchester United fan, as always, my expectation is Manchester United should 100% be winning this fixture. However, it has to be noted straight away that both of these sides are on identical records in terms of results coming into this match. Match days 1, 2 and 3 were all draws, and then winning on match days 4 and match day 5. United only sit 1 goal above Victoria Plzen, and it is literally that. United have scored 10, conceded 7. Plzen have scored 9, conceded 7. So it's a really, really tough one. Plzen, like we just said, they are unbeaten in this competition so far. So are Manchester United. Plzen have got results against really good teams. Victory over Real Sociedad is a prime example of that. They are certainly a side that cannot be written off going into this one. They have a fully fit squad. United are still trying to get to grips with the new formation under Ruben Amorim. They've just lost at home to Nottingham Forest. So, look, if the game was at Old Trafford, I would definitely be going for a Manchester United win here. But I have to show respect to the Czech opponents in this one. And with Manchester United having to travel all the way over there, with all the problems they've got at the moment, I just don't see Manchester United winning this match. I really don't. Of course, my expectation is Manchester United win this match. But I have to be honest when I do these prediction videos that if I was unbiased, this is the result I'd be going for. So I have to look at it through those lenses. And I'm going for a 2-2 draw. But mark my words, Victoria Plzen could definitely get a win in this fixture. But of course, if United turn up, they should, of course, get the win. That rounds off all of the early kickoffs on Thursday. To take one last long look at them before we now move over to the later kickoffs in 3, 2-1. And there we are. We have 9 more games to cover in the later kickoffs on Thursday. And the first of those is arguably the biggest match of the night. In terms of the positions in the table, it's the biggest match of the night because it sees the league leaders Lazio travelling to Holland to play 6th place Ajax. Ajax were 16 games unbeaten going into Matchday 5, which they, of course, lost 2-0 to Real Sociedad. And then since then, they've only won 1 of their last 3, which included that defeat to fellow Europa League side FC Twente that we talked about earlier. For Lazio, of course, another result we talked about earlier. It was a 0-0 draw at home to Ludogorets on Matchday 5, which ended their 100% record in the Europa League thus far. But since then, they have gone back-to-back victories over Napoli, who were top of Serie A when they played them both times, but they've knocked them out the Coppa Italia, and they've knocked them off top spot in Serie A over the last couple of weeks, meaning they're now just 3 points behind them, 3 points off top in Serie A are Lazio, compounding the fact that they are top of the Europa League right now as well. They are having an absolutely phenomenal season. It's a real return to form for Lazio. The only player they are going to be missing for this game is Vicino, whereas Ajax have a fair few injuries and will be missing Windal in this match as well through suspension. So I don't think there's going to be too much between the two sides. I would definitely expect Lazio to win this fixture at home, but I definitely think Ajax are going to have more chance with them being the home side. However, with just how good Lazio have been, especially in those 2 results over Napoli in the last couple of weekends, I can't see a result where they don't win here. So I'm going for 2-1 to Lazio to compound what's been a poor couple of weeks for Ajax. That then takes us to the relentless Bodo Glimt, currently sitting in 17th, versus the consistently inconsistent Besiktas, who currently sit in 22nd, should I say. Now, we've already mentioned that Besiktas got the victory over Fenerbahce at the weekend, which, again, is such a bizarre result, considering that on match day 5, they lost 3-1 at home to, at the time, completely pointless Maccabi Tel Aviv. They're also going to go into this game without 2 former Premier League players. Arthur Masuaku is suspended and Gabriel Palista is going to be injured. In terms of Bodo Glimt, they do have a few people struggling for fitness, but they could be at absolute full strength going into this one. And we saw at Old Trafford, that's why I called them relentless. They do not stop running. They have a lot of quality in their side. And I think with them being at home, they certainly need to be considered the strong favourites for this one, especially given the fact that these two sides met in the Europa Conference League last season. And on both occasions, both home and away, Bodo Glimt got the victory. So even with Besiktas' great result of the weekend, I just don't think they're going to get the result here. I'm back in Bodo Glimt. I'm going for a 3-1 victory to them. That then takes us to an incredibly tough fixture to call. It is Elfsborg taking on Qarabag. Right down the bottom of the table for this one. It is 28th taking on 32nd. But there is only 1 point between the two sides. Elfsborg have not kicked a ball since their matchday 5 defeat at Athletic Bilbao. 3-0 defeat for them. Qarabag have won and drawn since losing 4-1 at home to Lyon in a prediction that I got absolutely ridiculed in the comments for last time when I said that Qarabag were going to get a draw against Lyon. And to be fair, I'll hold my hands up and say, okay, I got that one wrong. But again, as always, this video is all about providing information so you guys can make your own predictions. And if you want to have a go at me, feel free to have a go at me for the little bits of laughs that we have. In terms of that information for this match, though, Elfsborg are going to be without their striker, Frick, who is injured, whereas Qarabag are going to be without their midfielder, Romao, who is unavailable to play through suspension. I really struggle to split these two sides. I think if you're going to pick a favourite, you do the usual. It's not a lot between them, so you'd probably go for the home side. But I do think that Qarabag just have that little bit of extra quality. I really can't split them. So I'm just going to go for another draw. If I get ridiculed in the comments for that one again, feel free to shoot me. But we'll see. I'm going for a 1-1 draw, which then allows us to swiftly move on to our next game, which sees Porto taking on Midtjylland. Now, you would think that this would be a pretty easy prediction to call. Porto on paper, a much stronger side than Midtjylland. And Porto, of course, are the home side as well. However, Porto are behind Midtjylland in the Europa League table so far. They are 23rd. They are 3 places behind Midtjylland. And they're 2 points behind them as well. But, I don't know. Midtjylland are on a pretty poor run of form at the moment. They did get a win at the weekend, but that was their first win for a while. They're missing a whole host of players through injury. They lost on Matchday 4. And I'm not convinced that Midtjylland can get a result against the Porto side that, on paper, are so much stronger than them. The only real problem for Porto is that Nico Gonzalez is suspended. Yes, Porto only have 1 win in this tournament so far. But if they can't beat a depleted Midtjylland at home, then realistically, you've got no hope in Porto achieving anything this year in the Europa League. So, with that said, I am going to go for the Porto win. I'm going to go for 3-1. But watch this space. Porto are not playing that great, especially in this competition at the moment. So, we'll see. But I'm going for 3-1 to Porto. That then takes us from mid-table up to the top once again, because it is now time for 3rd place, taking on 7th place as Lyon come up against Eintracht Frankfurt. Lyon are unbeaten in all of their last 8 matches in all competitions, winning their last 3, which of course included that big victory over Qarabag, and beating fellow Europa League side Nice at the weekend. For Frankfurt, they are still 2nd in the Bundesliga at the moment. They're having a fantastic season, kind of like Lazio, having brilliant seasons both domestically and in this competition. But they have suffered a couple of poor results over the last couple of weeks, getting knocked out 3-0 by Leipzig in the German Cup and then drawing at home to Elfsborg at the weekend, which has made them lose ground in the title race to Bayern Munich in the Bundesliga. In terms of injuries and suspensions, the only notable absentee for either side is going to be Said Benrahma. He is going to be missing for Lyon. For me, I expect this to be a really, really fun game. I expect it to be pretty high scoring. Both of these sides have been involved in multiple high scoring matches over the course of the last few weeks. To be honest, again, it's like the one we spoke about earlier. It could be anything, this, but I'm going for a 3-2 victory to Lyon. Could be 3 or 4-2 to Eintracht Frankfurt. The one thing I would say is expect goals from this match. From the top, we move very swiftly down to the bottom, as it is now 31st place Maccabi Tel Aviv taking on 34th place RFS, but it is Maccabi who come into this match on much better form than their Latvian opponents. They're unbeaten in their last 5, whereas RFS are winless in their last 3, losing 2 of those 3, and they haven't played a game since losing on Matchday 5 at home to PAOK. So I really do see RFS struggling to get anything from this match. Maccabi, of course, as we recently spoke about, getting a 3-1 victory away to Besiktas on Matchday 5. So now, I know they're not going to be at home, but I still expect Maccabi to get the result here. I'm really struggling to see where RFS even get a goal in this match. This may be slightly harsh, but I'm actually going to go for a 3-0 victory to Maccabi. I just think that they are too strong for their opponents in this one. But we'll see. RFS have produced some good results recently, including a draw with Anderlecht, but I just don't see it happening in this one. Now we move on to 2 sides that are absolutely deadlocked. It is 10 points apiece between Rangers and Tottenham Hotspurs. Spurs are still ahead of Rangers on goal difference. It is just 2 goals between the 2 of them. But coming into this, Rangers are unbeaten in their last 8 matches, which does, of course, include that 4-1 victory away to Nice on Matchday 5, whereas Spurs only have 1 win in their last 8, which, of course, includes blowing the lead against Roma in the Europa League on Matchday 5, and, of course, blowing their 2-goal lead against Chelsea in the absolute epic game in the Premier League on Sunday as well. As always with Tottenham, it's just going to be a case of which players are going to be available. They still have a fair few injuries to contend with. Is Romero going to be available? Is Van der Ven going to be available? Is Brennan Johnson going to be available? He looks like the newest player to have picked up a knock. But to be fair, whether they are or they aren't, Spurs have been playing weaker sides in this competition anyway, in terms of they've been playing some of their academy players, giving them the opportunity. And to be honest, if they're going to go with that approach against a Rangers side that is really hot, especially in this competition, I don't see Spurs getting a result here. And as much as it pains me to back the Scottish sides to get victories, especially against the English sides, My expectation is that Spurs don't do anything in this match and they play their kids and they get beat. So I'm going for a 2-1 victory to Rangers. Could be a tighter affair, could be a higher scoring affair, but I just think that Rangers are going to get the result, which is really going to put them in a good position to potentially get automatic qualification to the next round. That then takes us to what is probably the easiest prediction of the night on match 17. It is Real Sociedad in 16th place, taking on the only club left in the Europa League that sits on 0 points, which obviously means they are bottom of the table, and that is Dynamo Kiev. To be fair, the one thing you would say in favour of Dynamo is that Real Sociedad have another team that have a whole host of injuries going into this one. But despite their injury crisis, in all competitions, they have won all of their last 4 matches without conceding a single goal. So you have to say fair play to Real Sociedad for that. They're on a really good run of form. They're scoring goals. They're not conceding a single one. So I have to expect this fixture to go along those same lines. I'm going to go for 2-0 to Real Sociedad. Don't think I need to say too much more about that, to be honest with you. So we'll move on to the final fixture of the night, which sees 26th place Slavia Prague taking on 5th place Anderlecht. Slavia haven't won in this competition since match day 1, which has seen them tumble down the table to 26th, whereas Anderlecht are yet to lose in this competition, but have drawn their last 2. So maybe a little bit of a chance for Slavia to get themselves a draw in this one. Both sides come into this on a really good run of form domestically. Both sides are missing a fair few key players due to injury. So again, it really could be a close one to call. In any case, this would be the sort of scenario where, again, I've said it a few times in this video, I think Anderlecht on paper are the stronger team. So if Anderlecht were the home side, I'd definitely be going for them to get the victory. But with how good Slavia are, especially at home, I'm going to go for a one last final draw, and that is a 1-1 draw to round off today's video. As always, let me know all your thoughts down in the comment section below. Thank you very much for watching as always. It's going to be another very, very intriguing Thursday night in the Europa League. Thank you very much for watching as always. Thank you very much for listening as always. I'll be back this time tomorrow for my Europa Conference League video, so don't forget to check that one out tomorrow. And if you haven't done so already, don't forget to check out yesterday's Champions League video as well. A final thank you very much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow.